Starting the stream.
Smart. And she is also part of the DEFCON team now, right? I've been telling them that they're not going to let DEFCON take it away. I can lend them to DEFCON, but they're not going to go to DEFCON completely. She's going to talk about Raspberry Pi. Oh, and you ran Arduinos as well?
I run and Arduino.
Okay, so this is pretty amazing, and I know a lot of us look at this sometimes like this is like a toy. It's not a toy. A lot of IoTs are based on the architecture, so we're about to see today. So if one day you have to deal with IoT exploitation, this is where you need to start. A lot of robotics, for example, are actually running on architectures that are similar. And remember, connected cars. We have a lot of devices that are interconnected. Not exactly the same, but it has similar architectures. This, even though it may sound a little entertaining and this major-ish, this has a lot of revolutions in our lives, right? Think about cameras, garages, all kinds of stuff, including wearables that we're going to have to deal with. With that, I want to introduce her, and then I'll let her take it away.
Hello. Everybody ready for some fun today? Yeah. All right, so it was supposed to be a Raspberry Pi 101, but I kind of got sidetracked on that, started playing with some Arduino stuff. So I had somebody ask me, Raspberry Pi or Arduino are the same thing, right? And I went, ooh, bite your tongue. So I thought I would do a little bit of both, show you kind of Raspberry Pi versus Arduino, a couple of differences in them. So a little about me. Who am I? I go by this gizmo here in Slack, and I'm a business owner. I'm not in the security industry. I'm a business owner. I do business automation and help clients with line business applications. Help them install software so they can make a buttload of more money. So I help them do that. I am a mom. I am a very bad sister and a student of martial arts and yoga lover. I'm a gadget enthusiast. That's all the crap here. This is a small little portion of what I like to do. Pro tip, also gadget enthusiast and wine enthusiast. Don't mix the two. They don't mix very well. So you have an unintended outcome at the end of the day. Maker at heart, perpetual student of life and tech stuff. All right. Another caveat to this, I am not, by any stretch of the imagination, an expert at any of this, all right? I am learning about this stuff. I thought it was fun. We do have a couple of experts in the room that know a lot of this stuff, so hopefully they'll help me when I stumble on something, or if I get something incorrect. I am good with people correcting me, as long as they do it politely. Yeah, so beginning. And want to share some of the things that I learned about and some of the places where I stumbled, and hopefully save you guys some time, and we'll make some fun little projects. All right, so one of the things that you'll notice up here on the slides, there's a whole bunch of information up here on the slides. A lot of it came from copying and pasting from a couple different articles, right? So I have the titles of the articles and the links to the articles, so I don't expect you to read everything that are on these slides, just an awful lot of information. Classes-wise. Raspberry Pi versus Arduino, both circuit boards, but one of them has resistors, capacitors, soldering, top, headers. Closer look, one of them is an actual full-blown computer, and the other one you can do computing with. So they have different pros and cons and different things you can do with them. So Raspberry Pi, can everybody see this, or is it really, really super tiny? Yeah, first generation. Yeah, super tiny. So basically, yeah, an awful lot of information. I'll share it. In 2012, it was devised as an educational tool that could help teach children to code. And they wanted to load it up with Python, which is how they got the name Pi. And they wanted to price it around $35 so it could be practically throwaway, right? So they didn't want kids to be afraid to touch it, to handle it. It's not a $5,000 computer that they're afraid to touch. They wanted it to be something that they could put in their hands, and basically if they lost it at school or if they broke it or bent it or whatever, it wasn't the end of the world. They still had a computing project. I have a link in here. Anna had sent me, Anna's not here. Anna had sent me a cool little link of the guy that invented it, him and his life one of the articles where you know, he was talking to a kid that was about 12 years old. He's like, you know, what do you want to do when you grow up? He's like, I want to be an engineer. He's like, that is fantastic. What kind of computer do you have? And the kid was like, I have a Wii. And the guy's like, this is very, very sad. And he's like, you know, we can't really afford a computer so much, but again, a $250 Wii, you know, at the time, not same as a computer. So that was one of the reasons he came up with it. Okay, so the Arduino, 2008, it was marketed as an open source prototyping board for the Atmel microcontroller. So it's quite different from the microprocessor that powers the Raspberry Pi. The Arduino can be easily connected to breadboards where the Pi has its own operating system and can run as a mini computer. The Arduino hardware is open source. There's many different varieties and additional components, LEDs, voltage regulators, and a reset button. One of the first things I had gotten when Natalie and I started playing around with it was I got a great big huge kit with all the different resistors and 101 different projects to play with on YouTube. So I had fun with that. What is the difference between a microcontroller and a microprocessor? So the Arduino Uno Rev 3 has a 16 megahertz clock, 32 kilobytes of memory. GPIO pins are only 14, and the operating voltage of 5 volts. The Raspberry Pi Model 3B Plus clocks at 1.4 gigahertz, memory at 1 gig, and 40 pins on it, and same operating voltage of 5. So one is about 100 times faster than the other one. And we have difference between microcontroller and microprocessors for when you're bored and want to read through that. And just because you can doesn't mean you should. Architecture allows the Raspberry Pi to do things that the Arduino and its microcontroller could never do. But some applications, full-fledged computers, cumbersome and unnecessary, which is why we have the breakout boards for the Arduino, and you'll see some of the cool things we have today. I mentioned a little bit about the OS. So the Raspberry Pi runs with a special version of Linux, and that's usually referred to as Raspbian. They also have Jessie and a couple of others that I played with, but you'll see Raspbian on all the ones that we have in here. And through around 2 kilobytes of Arduino's flash storage is devoted to a special piece of firmware called a bootloader. It lacks a full-fledged operating system. It doesn't run the programs in the same way. We will load up the Arduino IDE, so you'll see a little bit of a compiler that we play with there. Costs are going to be approximately the same. Raspberry Pi is around $35. The Arduino is going to run you $20, $25. And being able to run programs on that, Google programs. But the Pi has a lot of Python scripting that you can do with it, and the Arduino IDE it comes with a whole bunch of samples, and you can load up another library and then run another samples. So one of the things that keeps people from getting into some of this little stuff here is I don't know how to code, I don't know Python, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that. Don't worry too much about that, because there are a ton of examples out there that help you get along with this very easily. I am not a coder by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm able to do some of these using Google and the examples. Yes?
Yeah, anybody else interested in that as well, keep in mind, if you go to the Raspberry Pi Foundation, all the magazines that they print out and for sale at the bookstores, you can get copies of them online for free from them. So you have to put them out there. It has all kinds of project examples, code samples, things like that.
And that's the Pi, the MagPi, right?
Yeah,
Pi MagPi. And sometimes they have a special bill where you can get a free Pi Zero with it, depending on when you sign up for it. All right, and let's see. All right, so as I said earlier, I'm new, given its purpose as an educational tool for would-be coders. You'd expect the Raspberry Pi to support a healthy range of programming language, and so it does. Again, I did different examples here and there. I've not actually built anything from scratch on my own. It's just using the examples and having fun with those. Now, a couple of things that I have done. One of the little projects I'll show you is I had a specific purpose of building a portable spy cam or a portable camera with the Pi Zero because it's such a tiny footprint. We have one here. The Pi Zero has such a tiny footprint, it makes for a good tiny camera that you can put anywhere. Very portable, You can even hook up a power supply to it and run it for several hours instead of plugging it in. They have little suction cups. You can stick these to your slider windows as well. They have no IR camera. No IR camera, so you can do night vision. Not great during the day, but he has the official Raspberry Pi case here. And you'll see that it's got the camera hole in the front. And then I got a couple of different cases over here.
A really cheap case is a Tic Tac.
Tic Tac. A Tic Tac box. Yeah.
One of those.
So yeah, I got a black case over here and a clear case. Oh, and this guy's a clear case as well.
The red tickets.
The Altoids?
Altoids.
Yeah, the Altoids box.
The Altoids box.
They'll fit in there, but with a metal box.
It's, yeah.
Yeah, you just put it inside the shield, the plastic shield. Is it like that?
Yeah.
Anti-static shield.
Alright, so Raspbian comes preloaded with Python IDE known as Idle 3, which is powerful enough to create sophisticated programs. While more experienced ones can eventually make the leap into C, C++, or Java. Alright, again, more information here. Graphics, you're going to have more graphical and computational resources on the Pi because there's not a whole lot on the Arduino IDE, but again, you've got the extra items, you've got the breadboard, breakout, and whatever that you can add onto it. Connectivity, again, you got the header GPIOs, all the pins, 40 pins on the Raspberry Pi, 14 on the Arduino. Connectivity, also with the Raspberry Pi and the Pi Zero. Some of these you can get them with wireless on them. Some of my boards, my older boards, is it this one? It's this one. One of my first ones with all the cool little doohickeys sticking out of it. Great big huge card sticking out. We've got the wireless sticking out, wireless keyboard and mouse, and a wireless internet dongle. So I started with a tiny box and added all the good stuff to it. And then they come out with the Pi 3. I don't think this is the 3, this is just B+. But you are going to have internal stuff. You've got a teeny tiny card that stays inside. And you've got Ethernet. You've got tons of USBs on it. And it's got built-in wireless. So you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the external wireless either. Let's see what else we have here. Here. When Natalie and I took the Raspberry Pi class at DevCon, we ended up getting a cool 7-inch monitor. 5-inch, something. Do you have it with you? Okay. Yeah, mine busted during the move. It didn't make it through the move, which was very sad. But I ended up with a cool little screen regardless, and it's actually a touch screen, and it's got a little stylus on it or whatever. It has the HDMI on it. You plug it in. You can actually sit on top if you like. Mine is disconnected, as you can see, so I use mine portable. Alright, cool. There is something else in here. Oh, I know what it is. Alright, so this is all the really cool Raspberry Pi toys we have up here. However, I grabbed at Rod told me about hacker boxes, so I went out and grabbed one of those. And I made a fingerprint scanner out of an Arduino Nano. So we have Raspberry Pi, really cool, connected computer, wireless, plug your stuff in, boot it up, you can do lots of stuff on it. Arduino, not so sexy, but works really, really well. So with the Arduino, we have our little board, we can plug our pins into it, we can plug it into other things. This is my fingerprint scanner. And then the other half of the project is going to have to do with a keypad and breaking into locks. So I will learn that later. But this is an example of the Arduino Nano with the pins. It's got a little power here. You know, you're not going to plug in a monitor or anything. You're going to plug it into your machine and you're going to compile the code in the IDE. We'll bring that up in a second. All right, so everybody read through this information? Anybody want to pass that along and impart it? One has wireless, one doesn't. That's basically what that says. All right, so power consumption. A lot of things, and actually Will had mentioned this as well, and we find this a lot. People will say, oh yeah, I've got a power supply sitting around, so they may have a 3-volt power supply or whatever. We do highly recommend you get the 5-volt because you may find that when you're working on your project and you plug in the camera and you plug in your USB, right? So I have my USB, I don't know why, oh, I have a wireless And after you get it built, you can plug it into a power supply temporarily to run it for a little while, especially with like the camera. All right, so which one is best? It depends. It depends on your project, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish, and it depends on what you want to work on at the end of the day, right? So, as we said in the beginning, just because you can doesn't mean you should. You may not need a full-blown Raspberry Pi to plug in everything under the sun to try to work on a project, right? So my fingerprint scanner, that works very well with a little tiny Arduino board. Love it for that. Have fun with these projects. And I get to build onto these projects as well because that thing's going to plug into a keypad, which is going to allow me to do another project, like I said, of breaking in keypads. And basically, it just says they're built to achieve vastly different. They consider an analysis comparison. Container trucks, you know, you can go through the little analogy there. But again, one has Wi-Fi on it and a full operating system. The other one is for you to try to compile different bits of code to make it link up little lights. All right, we're going to do a couple of hands-on projects. Now, take into consideration kind of, and Jonathan and Will had mentioned this last time, we did a little Raspberry Pi 101 a couple months ago. I'm sorry, were you the one that did the workshop? You ran the workshop. So lessons learned from that, everybody trying to download the distros at the same time on the library wireless is a disaster. So, if you want to break out your toys and play with them, you are welcome to. However, this is so that you guys can, we have some toys here for you to look at, play with. I'm going to run through a couple of projects and lessons learned, whether or not you're actually playing with the projects at the same time. I'm going to give you the instructables so you can take them home and do the projects later. But hopefully it'll be interactive. You guys can ask questions. And then I can refer to one of these guys to answer those questions because I may not know the answers. And so we'll get to see a couple of pretty cool things. All right, so a couple of questions I have for you guys. How many of you in here already play with Raspberry Pi stuff and Arduino stuff? Almost everybody. These guys over here. You guys have some interest in it. All right, so some lessons learned. Let me bring up my documents here. Just Word documents. What's the matter?
Click the OK, got it.
Ugh. Okay, a couple of useful commands for the Raspberry Pi. You can obviously Google these as well, but I put together a little tiny sheet of little cheat codes. So the one that you're going to get to know most is sudo raspi config. This is where you're going to go in and be able to configure your wireless and your network and various other things, whether or not you want SSH turned on or any of the others. All right? So you'll use that a lot. There is a GUI interface as well. However, you can do a headless install, and I'll explain what that is in just a second. And you can actually just use SSH to get in as well, so a lot of the command lines work very well. Another one here, change root password, sudo password root. Change your password, because when you're playing with this thing and you leave the password as the default, somebody else is going to break into it just to screw with you. Why? Because we can. Alright, so change your default password. And, pro tip on that, write that sucker down. Alright, so what I do is I take all my cards and I wrap them up in a little piece of paper, and I actually write on the outside what it's used for, and I write down the password on it. Is it super secret? No. If I was actually going to use it for anything, I would make it super secret and I wouldn't write it on a piece of paper, but these are for play at home. And yeah, I can easily forget.
Pro tip with the passwords, the default installation for HackMiami, it defaults to the UK. So your time zone, your language, including your keyboard layout. So if you type in the password without changing those settings, that password is completely not going to work anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. I did show you guys in the box a Pi 0, and then we have the Pi A, 3, and B. And I actually have the first edition. Oh yeah, the first edition I showed you.
Oh, that's a hard kernel, Odroid.
Odroid?
Yeah.
Those are pretty cool too, because you can put a full-blown version of Android on that.
And that has a, yeah.
And the Odroid.
Pi 0, plain, no container. Also, in reference to keyboard we have a really cool keyboard here that Jonathan brought. Kind of like that. That's nice. Everybody, most people in the room are used to that.
With the trackpad.
With the trackpad on it. Yeah. I like this one. I'm a little jealous. This is the one I've been kicking around for a few years. It also has a wireless on it. It's got the mouse pad on the side. And it's wireless, so I don't have to have this, but I look at that. So. And when all of that doesn't work, you can plug in regular keyboard and mouse with USB dongle. Here. Good? Everybody good so far? Questions? Nothing so far. HDMI cable with the Pi Zero. We have a mini HDMI plug-in. It will plug directly into here. If we get rambunctious enough, we may actually do that and turn one on. We'll see. My philosophy on these things is usually stuff doesn't work when you plug it in live. So I'm kind of like the cooking show. So I show you how to put the things together, and then I kind of like put them on the counter, like pretending like I put them in the oven, and then I break out the finished product. So that's what we're going to end up with. So some other commands that you're going to want to use: change directories, list directories, move a file, show contents of a file, and nano. Lots and lots of nano. And raspi config. When you're in the beginning and you're just learning this stuff, you're going to use this over and over again. And as he said, if you don't set the country and the keyboard in the beginning, you're going to bone yourself as well. So you'll get a copy of this. And a couple of little projects. The SpyCam project. Now, to give you my experience with this, I wanted to well, that is not what I wanted. There, a little bit easier to see. Okay, so what I did with the security spy camera project was that was my learning ground for trying to figure all this stuff out. And I learned a couple of very valuable lessons. So as I was going through working on this, I also wanted to do a headless install. I wanted to learn how and teach how to do a headless install. So what a headless install is if you have your device, but you do not have an LCD monitor, and you also don't have a big monitor, you don't have a tiny monitor, you can take one of these guys and you can do what's called a headless install, and you can just boot up and then SSH into it right from your machine, so you don't need a monitor. Okay? Works really, really well with these guys. We did that in the beginning. Playing with the Pi Zero, learned a very important lesson on that because I thought I had it, and I thought I was good at it, and I thought I've not done this in 6 months, and I had all kinds of problems with it. So, pro tip on the Pi Zero, if you are doing a headless install, and I believe I have some instructions up here in here somewhere, if you do not set the country code in the configuration file before you drop it onto the card, your headless install will not work. So remember to set your country code. Have you run into that as well, Jonathan? Oh, you just knew, didn't you?
I haven't played with the Pi Zero yet.
Okay, so with the camera, the hardware that's needed, Pi Zero, an SD card with noobs. Is everybody familiar with noobs? Jason noobs, yeah.
Nice.
So noobs is the nice little intro distro it gives you. It's a pretty little graphical user interface. You plop it in there, you get everything connected, you turn it on, and it says start here. And you hit, which one do you want? And you say, I want Raspbian, and it goes out and does it all for you. So that's where beginners start, right? So you have CLI, you've got your command line interface, and you can do all of that. You can actually download Raspbian. You can put a full distro of Raspbian on here. You can put Jessie. I even played with Jessie because I had some problems with one of the things I was doing. But Noobs makes everything easy for you, and it walks you through everything step by step. What country are you in? What keyboard you're using? Because as he said, if you don't set your initial country code, keyboard code, you're going to be messed up. And actually, remember, Natalie, when you and I took that class, we ran into problems because I didn't know that. I'm not going to say what you knew or didn't know. But I was having trouble with my keyboard because it was actually set as the UK keyboard, and I'm like, why isn't this working? You need a Raspberry Pi camera or no IR camera for the night vision. You also need a smaller cable, smaller ribbon for the Pi Zero. So you'll actually need this camera. The same camera will work, but it's just a ribbon with a smaller connector on it. Pi Zero case and a mini HDMI connector. There is a starter kit, and I have most of the pieces of the starter kit up here. I took one out fresh, but basically the starter kit comes with almost everything up there except for the camera. You can also get one with the camera, but the regular starter kit without the camera is like 27 bucks on Amazon, and you can order the camera separate as well. All right, first option for doing this camera, and let's see, I have pieces parts. All right, so camera cable. All right, so we have our Pi Zero, we have our card here, and we also have our camera cable here. So it's the smaller cable. And we have the full camera here. So we're going to plug that in a couple minutes.
Any options for like the GSM SIM card Raspberry Pi where you could like connect to T-Mobile or something?
It would be what they call a top hat. We actually have to put on top of the GPIOs.
Oh, yeah.
By default, we won't need that.
But available things that
Yeah. No, in fact, you can probably get that from hacker boxes, as a matter of
Oh,
fact.
yeah.
They've got the module available.
Okay, so first option, we're going to work with Raspbian Stretch 4.2-1. There's lots of fun typing that into the command line, by the way. Starting with a noobs card, you can purchase or create it. So when you get your starter kit, it will come with a noobs card. You're going to end up with a little 16 gig card like this. The Pi Zero is going to use a little tiny one. You can use a USB connector on your computer if you, here it is. If you need to put it in your machine and you don't have something to read the tiny one, a little bitty USB connector, you can plug the micro card in there and program it with that if you like.
Some of the Canon kits actually come with that too.
With the USB track, okay. So you can either get the noobs card when you get the starter kit, or you can just go out to raspberrypi.org site and you can download noobs, or you can just download Raspbian, whichever distribution you want. But like I said, noobs walks you through every single bit of it. So what you are going to do is you're going to insert your noobs micro SD card, and you are going to breathe life into that bad boy. You're going to hit the power switch. It'll boot with noobs menu. You can choose Raspbian. You're going to change the keyboard to English. You're going to set the keyboard to US and change the language to English. Sorry about that. Language English US. And click on Wi-Fi and configure the Wi-Fi with a password. So when you are doing noobs, it walks you through the GUI and actually asks you, what is your Wi-Fi? What is your Wi-Fi password? When we're doing the headless install, we take a little configuration file and we put in the SSID of the wireless. We put in what you can't put in an IP address. It does a DNS all the time.
You can actually set it up either way. You
On
can
the
set
Pi
up-
Zero?
On the Pi Zero, yeah, I've set a couple of them static IPs.
Static IP, no kidding, because I couldn't find that. Okay, so I put in the SSID of the wireless, and it would go out and get my IP address. Configure the Wi-Fi country, very, very important. If you don't configure the country, it's not going to work on the headless install. Yes, somebody have a question or comment? No? Okay. And it'll install Raspbian and it will reboot. We'll walk you through the welcome options. First thing you do, we'll change the host name and password. Here's your very first one, sudo raspi config. Enable the camera. While you're in the configuration file, you're going to turn the camera on. You're going to enable the camera capability so that we can use it later. You're also going to, if you would like to, enable SSH and VNC. There's also advanced options to turn off the OpenGL and choose legacy. I tell you that because I spent a couple of hours trying to get my stupid camera to work because that crap needed to be turned off on the Pi Zero to get my stuff to work. You may have had a different experience. I'm just sharing my trials and tribulations here. But yeah, a couple hours later, I finally found something. If I turn off my OpenGL, it would start working better for me. So I did that. Choose the legacy in there. Well, so from the menu, change your host name and password to whatever you wish. Changing host name may be useful if we're in a workshop and everybody's on the wireless at the same time. Everybody has the same host name. You're not going to know which one is yours. Alternately, you can use system control to start the services, sudo system will enable SSH. Here's your command line, guys, so you can do that as well. Again, remember your password or you will start over from scratch. Once those settings are done, shut down the Pi, install the camera. And it is okay to ask Google which way the ribbon goes. Because if you don't put it in correctly, it's not going to work. You're going to spend an awful lot of time troubleshooting your configuration files when you just installed the ribbon the wrong way. All right. And let's see, installing the camera, it's okay to ask which way to install the cable so you are not troubleshooting ID10T errors. Once the Pi comes back up, you can open a terminal and type in the following. Next, we're going to set up the WLAN. So you're going to do ifconfig, and under WLAN 0, which is my wireless LAN, you're going to see your Pi's IP address. Now, pro tip, if you actually turn on, up here, if you turn on your VNC, when you boot up your Raspberry Pi, you're going to get a blip on the screen telling you what your IP address is. So that's a very good huge cheat that I like to use. Unless you set it static.
So static, yeah.
Okay, so where are we? ifconfig, WLAN, IP address. Make sure to note it down somewhere, obviously. Next few commands to install a package called Motion. This is specifically for installing the security cam here. So we have a couple of different options. We're going to go through the manual process of installing the Motion system where we can actually configure things. We can use the Raspberry Pi for different things. We can turn the camera on and use it when we feel like it. What we're going to do when it comes up, if you enable VNC, oh, that's the pro tip where it'll show you your IP address. You're going to run the following command. You're going to sudo apt get updates. We're going to update Raspbian, and we are going to upgrade the operating system. This is going to take a long time, especially depending on your wireless, okay? This is where a lot of the workshops get bogged down. Because it can take 20, 30 minutes to do these updates. Yeah, so if you've got 10 people trying to do it at the same time on the wireless, yeah, it's going to take a while. All right, depending on your internet connection, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so next we're going to test the camera. Nice little command to try to test your camera. Find it someplace other than if you're sitting on your floor in your underwear testing this stuff out, please turn the camera around for everybody's sake. Just do me that one niceness. The file should be in your directory, open it and check, and then you can reboot. Installing the prereq packages for the Motion, there should be ready, already there, but just in case. I found that there were several prerequisites that weren't loaded, and then I had to go through and find and install each one. So what I ended up doing was I took this little, whatever you know, mileage may vary, but these are the ones that I had to go get. So this is the command line to install all the prerequisites that I didn't have. Should you happen to put something in here and it's already installed, it'll tell you it's not necessary because it's already installed. So doing it's not going to hurt anything. Ray, did you have a comment?
No.
I see you're smiling, so it's like, did she miss something?
No, I just,
yeah, okay.
thinking we all kind of run into that kind of thing.
All right, and again, typing all this stuff is going to be fun. Make sure you get your direct version that you're using. Drivers, installing the drivers. So this sudo mod pro BCM, this is the driver for Motion and the camera to be able to, for the camera to be able to use the Motion. And if it works, you get an additional directory called dev video 0. If it doesn't work, the directory's not there. You've got to do it again. All right? This is a quick, easy way to know whether or not it worked, because I did actually end up having to do it a couple of times before it took effect. I don't know why. Well, I do know why now, but if you didn't have it before, then you can add the line to the etc modules. You will run another sudo command, sudo nano etc modules. Once you get in there, you are going to add this command line to it, the BCM 2835 version 412, or I'm sorry, 4L2. I know, right? It's been a while, and I remember that being a problem because it looks like a 412, but it's actually an L, so be very, very careful with that. You're going to do Control 0 and Control X to exit, and then you're going to install Motion with the Pi Stretch specific release. So there's a couple different releases out there. Now, this is where it gets fun. The sudo wget, you'll notice in here that I have the release dash 4.2, Pi Stretch Motion 4.21. Remember up at the top I told you I was using Raspbian and I put the addition in there? These match. Code matches. 4.2-1, over and over and over and over again. Sudo apt get install the GDebi core, and then stretch motion 4.2-1 again, and then you reboot. If everything works. Once you reboot, you're going to configure motion, some edits to the configuration file. So again, you're going to sudo nano, remember, one of your favorite commands, etc motion, and then the motion.cf config. There are a ton of different items in here. These are just a couple off the top. There's plenty of configuration you can do. You can do streaming in-house, you can do streaming outside. We have a couple of, what I've done is stream localhost is off, webcam localhost off, webcam port is 8081, right? Pick your own port, doesn't matter to me. Control localhost off, control port 8080, stream max rate of 2 to 10, depending on what your hardware is going to do, what your what power supply you have plugged in, what your hardware is going to do. With the Pi, the regular Pi, you're going to have more options. The Pi 0 is limited, right? So that's why I have to throttle some of these numbers, because when you plug all this stuff into the Pi, it's got more memory, it's got more power, it can do more. It can do your streaming, and it can do frame rates. It can also do motion detect, right? Is the motion detect in here? One of your options is motion detect. So you can have it, one of the ways it's set up is if it detects motion, it'll take a picture and send it, email it to me. Instead of, I'm going to run and stream forever and ever, amen, and eat up everything under the sun, right? So pick your poison. That's not touch, this is. Changing the following 2 lines from on to off, having issues with the stream freezing whenever motion occurs. So output pictures off, and the FFmpeg output movies off, right? So that is something that the Pi can handle that the Pi 0 can't. Optional, don't include the text in brackets. The stream max rate 100 allows for real-time streaming, but requires more bandwidth and resources. So if you're on wireless and not having a wired connection, you may not have enough bandwidth to run it all. Frame rate 100 allows 100 frames to be captured per second, allowing for smoother video. Again, your mileage may vary. You may have to turn it down a little bit. Set the display. You can go up to 10.4 by 768, start small and tweak up. So in the beginning, if you start with 640 by 480 and you get that working, then you can make it bigger after that. But if you start big and you don't have enough resources to run it, you're going to have a problem that you're not really paying attention to. It's just changing this instead of an underlying problem. So start small, get it to work, and then tweak from there. Now we're going to set up the daemon to run, daemon. First we need to tell the motion file. So again, we're going to sudo nano into the config file for motion. Start motion equals yes. And again, it's a turn on, turn off for troubleshooting. Once you're done, simply save and Control O and Control X to exit. Reboot. And once it reboots, you should be able to open up a browser and go to our port. Again, you can pick your port, IP address :8081 and see the stream and taste the rainbow. Now, if you've turned on VNC and possibly SSH, you can also PuTTY or VNC into your machine so that you don't have to have a monitor. And we also have the same command lines, some helpful command lines here. That is basically what happened on the project. Now, some of the things that I can tell you that happened to me. So some of these instructions are in here because I had difficulties. You had an instructor go out there and kind of do it. That shit didn't work for me, right? So I thought, oh, it'll be easy. My workshop is like 2 weeks away. Well, actually, my workshop is 2 months away. And I'm like, well, yeah, Wendy, I got to work on that at some point. No big deal. It's just some instructions. I'm going to just slap some shit together and we'll be fine. That shit didn't work, right? So I was there for hours working with that. Couldn't get stuff to work. I was breaking out my Pi. I was plugging the camera into the Pi. I actually got it because I'm like texting with him like, you're not gonna freaking believe this. It's working on the Pi. It's working on the Pi 3, but it's not working on the Pi 0. So I'm troubleshooting the crap out of this thing, which is how I learned most of the commands, which is how I learned the tweaks of starting low, and also how I learned the tweak of not having the camera facing you when you take the test picture. But anyway, that's a different problem. And turning these, tweaking these down a little bit, because again, I can do a lot with the Raspberry Pi with all the processor on here, but when it comes to the Pi 0, and I think the instructions may have been written for the Pi, when it comes to the Pi 0, they're a little bit less. So after I played with this for hours and hours and hours and couldn't get it to work, and I called out for help in several different places, and I think I even asked you a couple questions, he's like, no dude, it just works. I'm like, dumbass, it's not working, I don't get it. So, I booted up for about, I unplugged everything, took everything out, I installed Jesse because I thought, well, maybe it's not working because I've got a newer version of Raspbian or whatever. So I learned how to put in new distros, I learned about the distros, I learned about the headless install, the trick with the VNC, because that stuff was pissing me off too. And what it finally came down to is after I stripped everything out of it, and I even did command line. I turned off the GUI,
Yes.
and I even started doing the command line, turned everything off, the camera, went into the config, shut it all down, the legacy, the whole 9 yards. Still wasn't working. I booted it for like the 19th time, and I'm just staring at the screen, cursing at it. And it's flipping through, and I finally see memory error. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? So I pulled out another fresh board, I plugged all my shit into it, turned it on, and the camera worked. And it had probably been working for 2 weeks, but I learned a lot about the Raspberry Pi at that point. So, you got that text too. You can't actually have the hardware errors, and I never saw it. I mean, I looked at the screen. That sucker flipped by from the screen so quickly, it was crazy. However, I am still using that card. Is this it? Hold on 1 second. It is in here.
Is it a Patriot
Patriot.
brand or SanDisk?
Oh, no, it wasn't my,
Oh, it was the Pi.
It was the Pi.
Oh, it was the Pi
Yeah, I
itself.
plugged in a new Pi. So here is the board from hell. Hate this thing with a passion.
Which one is
However,
Oh, is that
guess
zero?
what it does run?
Yeah.
The other thing that I've included with the instructions is you can use a distro called Motion OS, and all you do is download it and run it and install it, and it just works every single time. Your camera is set up. You can't do anything else with it. You can't really tweak it all that much. All it does is Motion OS, and that is it. So if that's all you want, there's a couple of instructions in here. You can be up and running in 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And I will tell you that this piece of shit board that won't run my other stuff, it actually runs this. So it's still useful as a security cam.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Does it have any microphone capabilities? Or, no, I'm just curious.
This
Actually,
one
yeah,
doesn't.
you can.
But you can do the PHAT again.
Yeah, you can do the USB dongle for the headset, so it'll give you both headphone and microphone. That does work.
Okay, so a couple of little things on this. If anybody wants to come up and actually see the little boards, there's a live board, so ground yourself before you go touch my stuff. But a couple of little things on the cables so that you're not chicken and scared of the cables, because I am, and that's the way it happens. When you get your camera in, it's going to have the large cable on it that goes into the regular Pis here, right? So you're going to want to swap this out for the smaller cable, ribbon cable. And again, you are going to want to Google how to put this bad boy together. So just like ribbons inside the machine, you're going to have to pull the clip up. Once you pull the black clip up, do you know what that clip's called? I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Okay. Once you pull the clip up, pull the cable out. Good there. We're going to throw the small cable in. And push the clip back down. Alright, once we have this, we can actually put it into the Pi Zero. Again, we're going to have the ribbon cable clip on it. We're going to pull that out. And we will put this end in. Oh, you got yours put together?
No, it's just taking
So
it
the
apart.
case is actually going to have a place for the camera here. Did you have one you wanted to kind of show? Yeah. So this is going to be the bottom. It's going to have the holes for the header pins in it. And this is the, what is it called? The Raspberry Pi official case, right? So it's going to have a place for your guys here. It's going to have a place for the pins back here. You're going to pop it in. And this will go on top with the camera hole. Good? And there's a couple of little add-ons that you can do. One of them that I saw is a case that has suction cups on the front of it. So you can suction cup it to your glass window so you can use the IR camera for outside.
Or you can use it as a what's it called, a driving camera?
Driving camera, yep. Dashboard
Dash cam.
Dash cam. All right. So, anybody want to see the board, the ribbons, the camera?
Are there any?
Yeah, that's the thing that you look at. Yeah, wow, that's take that.
Some other really cool projects that I like using with the Raspberry Pi is Pi VPN, Pi hole. So I don't know if anybody here has ever actually tried those, but they're way awesome. So with the Pi hole, basically you're turning a Raspberry Pi into a DNS blacklisting. And so with that on my network, anybody who hops on my home network, it eliminates ads. So whether it's my phone, tablet, laptop, it basically scrubs a lot of the advertisements that your laptop or your device, other device would get. And with, I'm running actually Pi hole and Pi VPN on the same Raspberry Pi, no problem. And with Pi VPN, no matter where I am, even with my phone, I can VPN into my home network through the Raspberry Pi and be safe.
Yep. And from the cruise ship too.
Yeah, yeah.
Was it like over a common port or something, or?
Yeah, yeah. The regular full-blown Raspberry Pi has an Ethernet port in it, so it only needs the one.
I mean, when you're like on a cruise ship, for example, you just use like port 8 to go out or something, or?
So the best way that I had like mine set up is I'm using port 53.
Oh,
So
that usually goes out. Okay.
yeah, exactly. So when you go to like the airports or whatnot, they've got like, oh, we've got Wi-Fi, but it's paid Wi-Fi. The one port that they do allow out is DNS, port 53. So if you're tunneling through port 53, it just looks like a lot of DNS requests are going through their network traffic. They have no idea you're actually on YouTube or whatever you want. So it's a way to get around having to pay for it.
Certain good firewalls actually block that.
Apparently not all. It depends on
Well,
the
apparently
product.
the airport doesn't have a certainly good firewall.
No.
So her question was, do you know which Pi, how do you know which Pi to get? And it's kind of, it depends on what project. It's kind of like, do I get an Arduino or do I get the Raspberry Pi? So it depends on the project that you're trying to do. If you're not doing the security cam, then you do not need to get the starter pack or the security cam. I always recommend getting the wireless on it. I mean, it takes up more, doesn't it? If you get the wireless on it, does it take up more power? If you have a very slim project,
Negligible.
negligible?
Yeah.
Okay.
And anytime you're doing like projects like this, if you can, always try and do the headless install. So you don't need a GUI desktop. Don't put the GUI desktop on there. That's more resources that it will actually consume, and thus making your picture sizes a lot smaller. I've actually gotten a full 1080p on even a Raspberry Pi Zero, as long as you're doing it with a headless install.
Yeah. Headless install, did I explain that properly? It's not for the faint of heart, it's not for the new guys starting out. You're better off plugging it into HDMI first. But headless install, I can include the instructions. I actually thought I had it in here, but I must have it in another document. I will put those in the Dropbox as well. But that's basically you download your Raspbian distribution instead of News, right? News was one of our options. You go ahead and, you know what? Hold on 2 seconds. I might actually have it in here.
Actually, if anybody needs any of the images, I brought most of the ones just fresh off their website this morning. So.
Yeah. Okay, so quick and dirty is the Motion iOS. And here's the instructions for that. You just download, it's got the no IR camera. I use Etcher to write my images. What do you use when?
DD.
I'm sorry?
DD.
DD, okay. I kind of like Etcher. I don't remember how I got it, but that's what I've been using for a while. Is there one that's better than the other?
I'm a Linux administrator, so.
Oh, all right. So Etcher, Windows, everything we're doing here today is Windows-based because my Linux skills still suck.
But Etcher does also work on Mac OS. So
It does, yeah, it does work on Mac.
same application.
So Etcher's going to write the
It's
image file.
a GUI app that will look at your image file and write it to the SD
It
card.
works on Linux as well. They have,
So does DD, John.
yeah, so does the.
If you're there for a while, actually.
So the distributions you brought, are they already updated, or did you
Yeah,
just
they're
do them?
already updated.
Oh,
I
he's
think
got the good stuff, guys. He's got the crap. You
I've
need to
got,
get from him.
I've got the headless, I've got the full-blown, I've got the Raspbian Lite. I brought there's a 8-bit basic distribution for like, anybody wants to go back in the program in the old days of basic. I think I also grabbed a copy of Kali, one of the latest versions of Kali for ARM, which will run on the Raspberry Pi. So again, if anybody needs any of those, I have them.
I did include the headless install here. It's basically, make sure you set, you are going to put Raspbian on the card, and you are going to get a WPA supplicant config file. Once you get in there, there's just a couple things you're going to need to set up. Easy way to do is just using Notepad++. You're going to put, again, this is not touch, this is. So you're going to put in the country. Always put in the country because the headless install won't work without it. Update config equals 1. WPA supplicant. Basically what this does is when it boots up, it looks for this file. When it finds this file, it drops it into the right place so it can read it as a config file. I put in my Wi-Fi router, my SSID, and my Wi-Fi password. So keep in mind, you're physically typing your Wi-Fi password into this file and dropping it in here. Keep that in mind. All of our security professionals. You're using Notepad++. Click on Edit, click on the EOL conversion. And remember when I told you I was having so many problems, it wouldn't run, and it was pissing me off? Yeah, that EOL conversion is what did the trick to that. That was the solve to that. When finished, save the file into the microSD root as WPA supplicant config. Insert the memory card. Assemble the case, plug in the power, and boot it up. So this is the Motion OS. This little distribution right here, these instructions right here require absolutely zero monitor for any of this. You're doing all of this without a monitor. So this is the quick and dirty version. And again, no, I did not include that particular test. I pointed it up at the ceiling that time. So again, you're not going to have a lot of configurations in here. There's just a few you can do. You can't use it for alternate things. It's just this operating system and that's it. Okay, so that is the end of the security camera. All right, it does have everything in there, including the headless install. A couple of other projects that I had fun doing with this, and then we're going to do, yes?
Just a couple of, what kind of I/O do you have? It looks like you've got like the USB ports, the small ports on there.
Here?
Yeah,
you're
Micro
gonna have,
USB ports, and I really recommend getting what they call an on-the-go cable, so you can plug that on-the-go cable in, and it gives you your standard regular USB
Okay.
ports.
Are there any like parallel I/O or there's other kind of ports on that or anything else?
No, nothing I'm aware of.
But you get mechanical, regular switches and tech switch closures or anything.
If you've got like regular switch stuff, that would actually put into the GPIO pins.
Yeah.
So some people have done that to like be able to turn the Raspberry Pi off. Because unfortunately, by default, all the way the operating systems are set up, there's no way to actually, unless you log into it, to shut it down.
Right.
So most people have to unplug the power, which can corrupt the micro SD card.
It will, eventually, yes.
Okay.
That
So
happens.
there's a GPIO chip on there with a connector sometimes?
There is, with the GPIO pins on there, yes. People actually have installed their actual own switch and added a configuration file into the operating system that says, hey, if this switch has been detected, shut it down.
Okay,
So
so
it's
you might
safe.
have additional switches if you wanted to, whatever, have it do something different.
Sure,
right?
sure.
Turn the camera on or off or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. That's good.
All right, so you are going to put in your USB, and that is power on the go, by the way. Cable on the go, sorry. You're going to plug in your power, and you can throw in your card. If you have it marked properly. You can also set this to log in directly without a password. Or you can set it to start up and ask for the password before it logs in. So, theoretically, we should be able to plug this bad boy in and make it work, because I already programmed the card. And this is a brand new board as well. So, I took the other board that I was using and I turned it into a name badge. So one of the other little projects that I wanted to do real quick was the name badge. And we're going to come back to this because when I plug it in, it may not work and I don't want to Okay, so name badge. I have, hello, my name is Ms. Gizmo. I left this connected to the Raspberry Pi Zero because I wanted everybody to see that it was connected to the Pi Zero. And that is how we program it. So basically, this is an InkyFat display. It's an e-ink display. And the way that e-ink works, is everybody familiar with e-ink? Because I won't bother. Yeah, no? Okay. All right, bear with me here. Oh, I think I have a document. I do. Oh, please. Everybody still good? Having fun?
Yep.
All right, useful commands. Our InkyFat project. We're still going to do the rubber ducky, I promise. It'll only take like, hey, Natalie, how long did the rubber ducky take? 10 minutes? Yeah, 10 minutes. Okay, so primer on e-ink. This is going to be our InkyFat project. Primer on the e-ink is electronic ink technology. It's low-power paper-like displays used primarily for e-books and readers like the Amazon Kindle. So this basically gives you a background on it, how it was developed. But the whole point is that it is very low power. You would typically have just the black and white, like your Kindles. However, in 2016, you can see when this article was written, in 2016, E-Ink Corporation announced advanced color e-paper, which should be delayed until 2019. Something actually came out when it was supposed to. Yeah, so we have this. And basically the way that e-ink works is applying negative electrical field causing the white particles to come to the surface, and applying a positive electrical field that causes the black particles to come to the surface. So by applying different fields at various types, various parts of the screen, the e-ink produces the text display. Are we good with that?
How much does that unit run?
This little guy here is like 30 bucks, maybe 35. I think it was $26.99 in time of running. So I know they were sold out at Adafruit, but I have put in Slack that you could get it at Pomerode for like 26 bucks. Now, what I did here, you guys can all get to this. This is nothing that I put together like the Raspberry Pi security cam. This is straight off of their website. So I literally copied and pasted this just because I wanted to show you that I wasn't sure if we were going to have internet. So this is just a literal copy and paste of their instructions. They've got very good instructions here that go through. Installing the software, it just installs a Python library. So it's an Inky Python library. And we have, I was going to try to explain what a Pi hat is, a P hat. But it's, Will, can you help me out here? I forgot what the HAT stands for.
So basically the Pi hat, if you will be like almost like a card that you would install on your computer so you can do other things, like maybe you put a video card or a sound card, but this is basically, these hats do all kinds of different things. Whether you can put like they have one for cellular networks, they've got some for actual additional displays. Really, I mean, I've actually, without using the hats but on the GPIO pins itself, I've actually even turned a Raspberry Pi into a radio station. So you can put an MP3 file on there and broadcast out, and it'll actually get up to about, if you make the antenna correctly, about 2 football fields away. An FM radio can actually tune in and listen. It doesn't require anything extra special other than adding a wire.
Yep. And yeah, I don't remember what the HAT stands for, sorry. But basically, what Rod was talking about with the shitty add-ons, that's a Pi hat as well, basically. So with your Pi, the one that we were looking at earlier, it doesn't have any of the pins soldered onto it. It's nice and flat here. Your Pi is going to come with the header pins, and you're going to be able to shove them in here and solder them on. Again, soldering skill is not that great, but you get the job done. I will break the board twice, and it still works, so I'm okay with that. And basically the way this works, after you get the header pins soldered onto it, this guy's just going to plug right into it. Easiest project you're going to do. It doesn't just do the name badge. I like it because it's cute and it's got the red stuff on it, and I can put my little name on it. But this plugs in. You can plug it back into the Raspberry Pi, back into your monitor, and run another command line. They've got tons of examples in here. They've got a calendar, they've got a weather station monitor, they've got a humidity monitor with an extra little item that you can plug in to monitor your humidity and your environment around you. And it's just a couple of command line. So it comes with the entire library. It gives you all the scripting that's there, and you can also turn it into other things. But I think we've already established that I don't really create anything on my own. I just follow examples and have fun with what they create. Questions on the AntiFat?
Light up? Is it LED?
It is not backlit. That is a thing with the e-readers. They're not backlit, so they're kind of tough to, you're not going to be able to see in the dark or anything. But there's no power to it. The name tag's going to stay there. The calendar will stay on it. Your monitoring, your environment monitoring will stay on it. There's just several different examples in there that you can use with it. And just a small text readout. So instead of having maybe, a nice pretty display here. They make them in that size, and they also came out with a 5-inch one last month, I think, as well. So they've got a lot more colors on that one, and it is a lot bigger.
How many colors come on these?
Ooh. Oh, please.
They don't have that many colors, right?
No.
What's the power consumption like on the Raspberry Pi in terms of?
So the power consumption depends on what you're doing. It's generally speaking pretty low, but you definitely don't want to be grabbing your cell phone charger and plug it in there. What you'll notice is that when you're powering it up, you'll see the little lightning bolts on your screen, and that usually means you're underpowered. So if you can get the actual Raspberry Pi power adapters, and the Canakit makes a really great one. I think they're 2.1 amps. The problem with your phone ones is that it's not a solid 2.1 amps, so it's not a good solid high power rating. Either the Pi won't boot up, or it'll have very poor performance.
Okay, so it's not like 100 milliamps or something.
No, it can get up there. It can get toasty.
Yeah.
Other thing to know that the Raspberry Pi doesn't have an actual hardware clock. So when you turn it off, and if you don't connect back to a network or an NTP, or to get an NTP on your network, it's gonna
Forget.
Well, it's gonna just continue from where it left off. So if you turned it off for 2 hours, it's gonna be 2 hours delayed, and so on. Right? So on this one, I actually put on a hardware clock.
Okay.
So add one on.
And you could add one onto it. So normally, so for instance, I did capture the packet for all of our socks, and some of the rooms didn't have access to the wireless, so I could reach for the access point that I was connecting to. So when they unplugged it and plugged it back into another room, I don't have to worry about the clock being wrong, and the cron job that actually played the packets for the duration of the game played at the right time instead of 2 hours delayed.
Okay.
I learned about the clock today, by the way, so I learn something every day. My very first Raspberry Pi project, I was trying to remember why I started playing with them several years ago. I put, this was my very first one, I had plugged into the network, I had XPMC on it, so I used it for my little deck. And then I put Kodi on it.
Kodi or Plex? Plex works as well on there.
Yeah, I stopped at Kodi.
What
But
is Kodi?
Plex works as well?
Yeah.
So what does Kodi do?
Movies are going.
Kodi, it's like if you have a Kodi server in your house, or actually Kodi can actually even go out to the internet
Yes.
and actually stream videos straight off the internet. Be careful using Kodi because there are a lot of plugins that will be videos that can also get you in trouble with your ISP. Which is one of the real reasons why I like Plex. I have a Plex server at home, and it's kind of like my own personal Netflix. So you can put the Plex Media client on a Raspberry Pi connected to the back of your TV, and I just stream all the videos I want directly from my server.
All right, so we did this project, we did the security cam. All right, did you guys want to see this boot up, or do you just want to do the rubber ducky? Really? Are you gonna test me, are you?
And anybody interested in like really going out immediately and getting a Raspberry Pi? Target. Target actually sells them for like $35. Straight up bucks, yeah.
But in the stores or anything, or all that? Is there anything they have in the stores?
They have them in the stores. They actually have them in the stores. They have a couple of hats. They'll have keyboards, everything you pretty much need. Just about.
That like motion sensor there.
Yeah.
Oh, right here.
Again,
I have an outlet right
Oh, you
here.
have power?
Yeah, right here.
This is not going to have the wireless for the library on it.
power strip. Or you want to use yours?
Wait, oh, you have it already?
Yeah, the power.
I'm not ready to boot though.
So what do they use, I've heard about some of these power strips that have basic processors in them and then
That first one.
hard to connect to the cellular network. What they use for some of these power strips that had, basically they had a connection to the cellular network and was like if you wanted to, someone's going to hack onto an internal network, they can basically have this network connection, they can plug in their local network.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
In other words, they had some, I didn't know if it was a Raspberry Pi that they had inside a power strip.
Yeah. They did that at DEF CON.
Yeah,
They stuck a Raspberry Pi inside of the UPS. So they took it had several batteries inside the UPS. They took one of the batteries out, put a Raspberry Pi in it, and walked into a company like, yeah, we're here to replace your UPS. Put the UPS in there, plug it into the network, and now they have a Raspberry Pi computer scanning and sniffing and doing all the things on the network. So,
Right, yeah.
one of the other popular things you'll see out and about, companies are doing with Raspberry Pis is digital signage.
Yes.
You can have it set up to execute almost like a PowerPoint type of presentation, or have it go just to a website or play a video. And like from one of my previous companies, as a demo on a Raspberry Pi, we were actually going to get the video Big Buck Bunny. You guys are familiar with it. It's a full 1080p, excellent quality video that we use for demonstration purposes, and it ran just fine on a Raspberry Pi Zero.
That beats some of those old XP error messages I would see on those things.
Raspberry Pi is not. I'm not. They get it too. I think Nintendo uses Raspberry Pis for their digital signage, and every once in a while I'll come across one where you see the raspberries. It's like, crap out.
Did they reroute that Ethernet port on the back of the UPS?
No, they actually just plugged it right into someone's network. That was I think the Schmoo group from DEF CON was the one that demonstrated that. That was years ago.
I was thinking that would be an awesome entry point too.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be using that funds on the back to protect the server.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Not much protection when it's running through your Pi.
Exactly.
What's it trying to do?
All right, that's about all it's going to do today.
Oh yeah, it's just booted up.
Yep.
Let's have, you want to, here, plug this into your UPS. Oh, you have yours, yeah.
I can't really see it well though. Well, there's not a lot we're going to be able to do with the camera anyway because it is not on the wireless, so.
You can see a couple of things not to do, like eject your SD card.
Alright, so. Oops. Alright, here's our Raspberry config. Change username and password. Oh yeah, this will get a little annoying. Change username and password, network options that are here. So you can go in and configure the network.
What's it doing that?
So you have so you just have your HDMI output going to the TV basically, and then USB regular keyboard on there, right? On the
Yep,
USB
I have a tiny one, but you can plug in a regular keyboard now, it's no big deal. Alright. Again, I just took this Pi Zero out of the pack just right now. The camera's brand new as well. I just shoved in the card that I was using 6 months ago, 3 months ago, or whatever. And pretty much works. I'm not sure what's with the HDMI, but again.
HDMI synchronization, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably
Not a
not
big deal.
getting a good sync from the.
Then you can go in here and set it to do whatever you need in there, so it still works. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'm using that for the name badge, but I actually had that one set up for the security camera first. I just popped the card out of it, put a new card in it, and used it for another project. Keep the card, and then you can reuse it. All right, everybody good?
So you're just showing the Raspberry Pi boots up and
Yeah.
ready to download from an SD card, basically. Where you're at.
Yeah, the SD card worked, and or VNC, or put it on the wireless from here, enter the SSID and the password. And what else? Anything else? Let's see. Do you want to? 2 seconds. All right, and that's all it's going to do today.
Can we see the camera? Is the camera working?
The camera should be working, but
But
no,
no,
we're not
it's
going to
not
be able to see the camera.
We actually have to have a separate network set up so that you could, but we don't have that.
Yeah. I'm not even trying to put it on this wireless.
I think, could I borrow the camera and plug it in here?
Sure. You have that on the wireless already?
It's not on the wireless,
Oh, yeah, I know this one.
but this should be running the full display, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
The full
yeah, the full has the GUI on there,
Yeah. Let me just grab the HDMI.
Do you want me to swap the cable for you?
Just this. I have a real long cable here.
This is your power.
What is that?
It's not that camera cable.
It's called a Pi.
No, that's the Pi Zero camera cable. That's why I was asking if you wanted me to swap it.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
You're talking about this HDMI cable?
No.
Screen. You can have like a little Game Boy.
Okay.
And then you run the emulator in your Pi.
I brought RetroPie too, if anybody needs that.
But it's not assembled.
Okay.
So my friend made a project where you put a Raspberry Pi in, and you basically get like a little Game Boy. Pretty cool. I haven't put it together yet, but there's also like a screen and the buttons. And then it comes with like the pinout headers, and also something for the batteries. Yeah. You can get it for cheaper if you don't get the case 3D printed. But then there's also the, there's this here. You put, I think, a couple double A's in it.
So long.
And then boom, you now have a little portable console.
Has its own line. I'll use the battery.
Okay.
So the camera?
The camera's here.
And here's the keyboard.
Okay.
Is this the one you got ordered your room with definitely?
You know what else the Raspberry Pis are good for?
So why you got to drop at the room with definitely?
The Raspberry Pi is also good for displaying dashboards.
Displaying dashboards and stuff.
That little Thunderbolt's what you meant under power.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what do you use? What program do you use for?
This gives
So-
it,
All right, so
that may have been the reason
Oh,
why.
you mean your
This looks like it's underpowered. Right, especially
Yeah,
with
the little
So-
Thunderbolt.
yeah,
Go
the
ahead.
Thunderbolt you see in the upper right-hand corner that's occasionally showing up, that usually means your power supply is underpowered
Oh, yeah, he's just got it plugged in here.
on the battery.
Yeah.
and so let's see, we are New York.
Is that a Pi 3?
And use US keyboard? Sure. Next.
Is this Raspbian that we're looking at? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Raspbian, right?
Yeah.
This is the full version.
Yeah, right there with the camera. That's probably very that way you just hook it up easily just with drone.
And I have a wireless adapter here too, so I can plug this in. Alright. Enter a new password. Let's see.
Maybe my concern. It needs the 10 nice. I got a piano. It's a good.
Nice and secure. Everyone can see it.
So, I went there.
Next.
Letters for like military, but it's like nice.
So do you need a driver for that camera? You have to, right?
The camera shouldn't need a driver.
The camera doesn't need a driver. When you go into the Raspbian config and you turn the camera, you you do have to turn the camera on in the Raspberry config, okay? Because it's not on by default. So one of the first things you have to do is turn on the SSH, VNC if you want, and turn on the camera.
All right, so now we just have to reboot real quick.
You get it working?
Oh yeah. I'm going to be meeting today. I don't know how far was the target, but yeah.
What the LEDs mean, I see it looks like we got, what is that, like, here or something?
It's actually YouTube. We're sending this on
Oh,
YouTube
really?
too.
That's awesome.
You know? So they're actually seeing this setup is the way to do it. Like we're actually, you know.
It's the laws of physics. Like it's just they
Bring sound, so it needs to be too.
Oh, Sam has one of those. Oh, the mixer.
Yeah.
I see it.
All right, so we're up. How do we get to the camera?
Raspberry config.
Where do you get to that? Here?
Oh, do your config file. The config file is also available on the drop-down menu as well. Preferences.
Yeah. Where?
If you want to go down to
down.
preferences, you can use the GUI straight up.
Oh, let's go. Let's
Raspberry
do.
Pi configuration.
Boom, boom, boom.
Down, right there.
Enter. All right, interface line.
How much of a power juice do you need to power that?
Do interface.
I mean, the Canon Kid ones are usually like starting off at 2.1 amps.
Alright.
But again, the Raspberry Pi Canon Kid ones
Yeah.
are a solid 2.1
Oh,
amps.
enable that.
No
Enable
problem.
VNC.
Yeah,
It may say 2.1 amps, but that's like peak. It's not sustainable. So that'll go up to 2.1.
I think that's about it, right?
And
And then
charging the phone and not powering.
WinWire,
You
remote
don't do
GPIO,
GPIO, no.
performance.
Can you go back to the interface
So like
real
if I
quick?
wanted to put that, let's say,
Guys, everybody see where the camera and SSH is? You want to enable those. They're off by default, so this is where you turn those on. All right, go ahead.
Oh, for the this has the hardware clock. You have to enable the I2C. For the, that's a hardware clock module.
like if I wanted to put this in, right, with like a power juice, because I don't want to plug it. So that's the first thing they're gonna do. They're gonna look at all the power sources, then they're gonna scan for the Wi-Fi, right, or for the signal.
Sure.
If, let's say I wanted to hide this somewhere, what would you use?
Probably a battery pack. Just make sure you get a decent size
Yeah.
battery pack.
Decent size.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't make you away though, but yeah. Okay.
But you're talking about a battery pack that is sustainable at 2 point?
Yeah, I mean, they make them. They're out there, but they're going to be like that big and probably like that big. They would make that device look a little bit bigger, but I can still hide it, no problem. I can have a laptop.
Well, you also need to make a motion sensor too. Because if not, you're gonna run out of. And usually what happens is when there's like light coming in, like there's like clouds, for example. Usually the sensors are too
Active.
They activate record. They're record nothing. They just record the cloud going through.
That has the heatsink
Oh,
on
yeah,
there.
there it is. Is there the,
There's the one for the camera. There's the mod.
what do you put in here?
You put
Pi 0?
Yeah, Pi
I
0.
think that will make it super nice, right?
Yeah, let's look
All
it
right.
up.
So where can we see the camera on this thing?
Hold on 2 seconds. You are
going
going
to the
to.
Programming education.
All right, you are going to type in here. Drop out to a prompt.
Yep.
And you're going to type in Raspberry still. And you're just going to give it a name. Raspberry still.
Yeah.
No, still.
That is still.
It's not.
Oh, duh. Where am I? IS.
Yep. -O.
-O. Where's the dash? 1 second. There's a new keyboard for
Down
me.
at the bottom.
0. Oh, O or 0?
O.
Space.
And then just give it a name.
What is this?
And it's going to end up in your home directory.
Yeah, we don't get that.
All right. Anyone? Is that pointed at any particular place?
Here.
There we go.
Oh, wow, that's super cool. There you go.
There you go. Everybody good? Whoops.
There, grabbed it.
You want to do another one?
How long is the capture?
Oh, it's
No,
just
it's-
a,
It,
just
it
a
turned on the
still.
camera, and it turned on the camera, waited a second, and then it took a shot.
There we go.
And this is live on YouTube.
That was cool. That was super cool.
All right, so if we go back to the,
It's in your directory. Home directory.
the
Open
Do you
it.
have the motion sensor one?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
that's something
That's what this is.
Which
The
one?
instructions for this.
Right, but meaning the current setup.
Oh, see,
Can
there
you
it
just show the motion sensor stuff?
It's not installed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it a specific?
It's the instructions in here.
Okay.
All of the motion sense stuff is going to be in here.
Does it need
Oh
a
my
a
God.
specific sensor or is it
Nope.
a camera?
It's the
Change
operating
detection
system,
camera, same
this
OS.
camera, and the settings in the software.
Okay.
so we can see there, it saved it right there. And,
You got it?
Like I said, I assume if you set it up to work as a motion sensor, it's going to consume less battery.
Yeah.
I mean, for
Right,
high,
exactly.
high,
I mean, we're talking about a hypothetical scenario, right? Because
Yeah.
it's illegal. You can
Correct.
have a way to do this.
Yeah.
Correct.
You can't hide cameras at the hotel. They're gonna get you, they're gonna charge you for it. But let's say we wanted to do it, right? You need a battery pack, and then you need to set this into a motion detection. Because if you leave it on, it will run off in
it's going to drain the battery.
an hour or two, yeah. I mean, if you guys, any of you had cloud cams, I mean, you got like 100,000 alerts in 1 hour. So,
Well, I haven't done the camera setup with as far as like the change detection, but like for what you're actually talking about, D-Link sells a camera on Amazon for like $20.
Yeah.
And it does change detection, low power consumption. You can have it set up so that it's triggered through an external power source or an external switch of some kind, like a motion sensor, and it will actually do that. This camera's like $25, easily put someplace.
are they smaller?
Yeah,
They
they're
are.
tiny.
They're tiny.
They're tiny.
Yeah.
You know, I bought a spy cam and then I bought a detector camera to compare and see if I could find it. Basically, the trick is to flash the
Yeah.
camera eye and the eye comes back. That's basically what I learned from it.
so you don't do that.
So
Make sure you
with
shut
my
it down
D-Link
first.
camera, the way I have it set up, so I pulled up the picture of what the camera sees, and it laid out a huge, like, massive grid, and you just basically say, highlight this area here. So I'm not like, it's not doing change detection if my neighbor's tree moves,
Right.
but if a car moves within to this portion of the screen, that will trigger the camera.
Oh, wow. Is that a special software or?
No, it's default, $25 camera, dude. If you want, I'll post a link in,
Yeah, please, yeah.
The motion eye sensor I was talking about in here, some of the items that you have is the frame rate, the refresh, and then it's also got motion detect. Some of the settings for the manual one that I had earlier, some of these settings that you're going to have here is going to be for the motion detect
Oh, wow.
and the frame rate. So it'll look at the frames, and whatever changes within that frame, it'll look for changes within the frame, and if it finds X amount, so you set it for how many pixels are going to be changing. So when it finds that many pixels changed, then it'll snap the picture. So with the Pi Zero and the power consumption, you're going to want to change that number for the power that you have on here. Because his Pi will do it smoother than the Pi Zero will.
And there's also other manufacturers that makes these small boards like hard kernel and Odroid. They have more memory. They have more peripherals. So this one has an IR as well.
That's a heat sink.
A bigger heat sink. No, this one has IR.
Oh, wow.
The Odroid, like I was saying, you can actually put an Android image on that. Works perfectly with the Google Play Store. So if there's any particular Android apps you want for doing stuff like that, you can easily put it on there.
Yeah, and there's a ton of mounting options as well. So say for instance, if you're running this in on a server rack and you just want a particular rack, you can 3D print a bunch of cases. This is a one Raspberry Pi B case. It fits this Raspberry Pi. I've 3D printed a Pi cluster rack, that's why these are on these little plastic sheets. They actually slide into a holder, so that holds 14 Raspberry Pis in 2 U's. So you can do that if you want to just cluster a bunch of Raspberry Pis together so they're not in their individual cases. So there's a lot of fun things to do with Raspberry Pi. Right?
And when we see that display, there's some software that will like display, if you want to use it for signage, is there something that...
Yeah, there's if you do a Google search for Raspberry Pi digital signage, you'll see a ton of companies out there doing that. They're really easy to use.
Anybody has done anything like that? Like, for example, like a analysis feed or a tweeter feed?
That I haven't seen yet. I'm sure it wouldn't be hard to implement. Most everybody that I've seen with the digital signage, they're setting them up in like restaurants. So like when you go in a restaurant, they've got the menu, and of course it does some little interactive video of their burger sizzling or something like that.
That's what I was going to do at New Compass.
Oh, is that Burger King?
I was going to set up the Raspberry Pi Zero to do the digital signage. Alright, everybody good? Pi crap? Alright. Our next project is a little teeny tiny rubber ducky. Is everybody familiar with rubber ducky? HackMiami product? Yeah, very good. Okay, so basically what the rubber ducky does at HackMiami is about $50. And it's used on a lot of pen testing engagements. It basically emulates a keyboard. I know a lot of operating systems, when you plug in a USB, it'll freak out, or it's got something set where it'll ignore the USB. This guy actually is set up as a keyboard, so it can do keystrokes and drop off payloads when you plug it in.
You can also, there's something else that Jonathan Ace and I did when we went over at HackMiami. We had set up a Raspberry Pi Zero to do that. So when you plugged it in, the computer thought it was a keyboard, and it was allowed to tunnel out and start doing
Yeah,
oh, wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as long as it recognizes the keyboard, it's not necessarily off limits. This one is yours, I do have some extras here in case they were sold out or you could not find them. Somebody had posted they all had crappy reviews. Yes, they all had shitty reviews, but I've tried 3 or 4 of them, and at first I thought it didn't work,
I see
but
that?
it does actually. Yeah,
What is this?
so these guys, and I did recommend the cable, and it is because it is just a board, and it's got naked pins on it. It goes directly into the USB. I recommend the cable so that you can easily take it in and out of your laptop instead of trying to shove this in, take it out, plug it in, take it out, and so on. All right. Bad USB or rubber ducky from Hack5 is what it's called. We're going to use something called the Digi Stump as a keyboard device, deliver a payload, and it went on a Windows machine. So what I'm doing today, again, is just Windows. You'll need a Digi Stump board, which is this guy here. And I bought a pack of 3 of them for like 15 or 16 bucks or something like that from Amazon. And yes, they all had crappy reviews. There was a Kickstarter that was done originally for the Digi Stump, but that is over. You'll notice that it is very tiny and it only has a few pins on it. When you initially plug it in, I thought mine was broken. I had texted Nana and I'm like, damn it, mine's broken, mine doesn't work. So when you plug it in, if you guys can all hear, I will show you what it sounds like. Mine's broken. You know what? Let me take a different one that doesn't have any programming on it. Looking at smart move. Ooh. That one fits here.
good noise.
I'm not hearing the other noise.
Which one?
The dun dun dun, the down. It's supposed to come up and then go down.
Up.
That's it. I bought a pack of 3. Actually, I bought 2 packs of 3.
So are you getting a shell out of this, or what are you getting?
Do what?
You getting a shell out of this, or?
No, hold on. You can, yes.
I did some research last time, and yeah, you can easily get a remote shell with one of these.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, help me out here, John. Sorry.
There's a lot of scripts already pre-made. You can disable the firewall. You can set up a remote shell. There's a lot of stuff to do with it.
Goes back down, right? So it doesn't stay plugged in long enough for you actually to install the drivers. The reason for that is it's very teeny tiny. It does not have a lot of pins on it. So basically the pins are programmed. You've got 2 pins there that come up under USB, and then after a second or 2, it releases those pins so you can use the regular programming. So that's why it comes up and goes back down before you get to use it. So what we do to combat that, we unplug it. After it installed, let me bring up Device Manager, sorry. When you bring up Device Manager, you will see it come up as a device in here, but then you'll see it disappear.
Oh, the libUSB third.
Yeah, this I already have the drivers installed, but it's not going to be long enough for you to actually install the drivers when you initially plug it in. So, what you're going to want to do, go download the drivers that I have here. I have the link. I have the Digi Stump zip, 64-bit install the drivers. Once you plug it in, you're going to view and show the hidden devices. And you're going to see that it's grayed out. So it's not up long enough for you to actually do it. So in Device Manager, you're going to show the hidden devices. And when you show the hidden devices, it'll be grayed out. You'll be able to right-click on it and install the drivers, right? So once you right-click, it'll ask you what directory you want to look in. You'll install the drivers for there. And then when you plug it in, it will recognize it as an IO device at that point. There are a couple of different packages you're going to want to download. The Arduino IDE is here. That's the main software. Once we get it installed, it's going to take a minute to install. It's going to take a minute to load. The fun part about the Arduino is you get to use the same IDE for different projects. You're going to go in and choose your different board preferences. So when I'm working with the Nano, and I'm doing the fingerprint sensor, I'm going to tell it I'm working with the Nano board, right? When I'm working with this board, I'm going to go in and tell it that I am working with the DigiSpark board. So if I go to File and Preferences, when I get into Preferences, I'm going to tell it I need to load some extra libraries here for my Device Manager. So I put a link in here for the DigiSpark Device Manager. You're going to paste this URL into here so that when we go into the board manager, you will be able to find the DigiStump board. Hold on one second, let me see if I can make this bigger. It is not going to get any bigger. So here I have where the board is the Arduino Nano. That's the last one I was playing with on this machine. If I come down here to Manage Libraries. Once I hit Manage Libraries, it's going to go out and find my DigiStump. I can type in DigiStump here. Come on. Ah, I do already have them installed here, so let's do it here. Oh, come on. Anyway, one of your options is going to be Digi Stump AVR board. So you are going to want to install the Digi Stump AVR board. And it is in here somewhere, I promise. Mine is already installed, so let's go ahead and bypass this. However, we are going to want to go and choose the correct board. So as you saw, I had mine set to the Arduino Nano. So we are going to go down to which board. Once we get the Digi Stump AVR installed, it's going to give us extra items at the bottom. So we're going to choose the DigiSpark default 16.5 megahertz. Click on that, and now we have the proper board installed. And then under Tools and Programmer, we are going to choose the Micra Nucleus Programmer if it's not already set up. So under Tools, Programmer, this is set for AVR ISP. So I'm going to go down to the Micra Nucleus. Now we're set. You have in the beginning, like I said, the Arduino is going to give you a whole bunch of examples. So under the File and Examples here, we are going to have the extra DigiSpark down here at the bottom. So I've got DigiSpark examples. And I have DigiSpark keyboard here. So I want to set this one up as a keyboard. I'm going to tell it to act like a keyboard instead of a USB drive or whatever else. Alright, it's going to bring our little guy up here, and it's going to actually start with include Digi Keyboard H. And it's going to ask you to put in a couple items here. So you can actually play with this file. What I did was I loaded the pause up here at the top. So I took the pause, put it after the send keystroke to get it to stop for a second, pause for a second. And then you can have it put in, type out whatever you want here. So I'm just going to have it type out, hello, Miss Gizmo. All right, I have screenshots of where everything is. I moved the delay up, so it shows that here. We're going to click on Sketch, and we are going to upload. Do not plug your device in until you do your upload, because otherwise it won't work. It won't recognize it. Only plug it in when it asks you to. So in this particular case, like when we're working with the Arduino Nano, we can keep it plugged in, we can run some code, we can compile it, upload it, and see if it works. Leave it plugged in, change our code, compile it, upload it. With this guy, we have to wait for it to tell us, because those two pins that tell us it's a USB are going to turn off, and then we're not going to be able to use them. So that's why we plug it in when it tells us. Is everybody okay with that? All right. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go ahead and verify. And we have an error already. Hold on a second. I have some code. Ugh. Hold on a second, let me go grab something. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
So
So I expect the power consumption to be much less on these boards, right? And again,
Yes.
it's going to run off the troubleshooting.
Yeah. Yeah, give me a second, let me check this code. Perfect.
So it's always better when it's live.
Hold on, 2 seconds. Let's see. That makes some sense. I have one already compiled. I just want to see if I can upload this one. Because otherwise we're going to pretend. Like make believe again. Alright, so we're going to plug it in.
Oh, you have to wait, right?
Yeah, we're going to upload. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it's for. What are the
That's what she said.
Yeah.
So you played with these things a bit?
I actually have a few records. The reason that I'm afraid of doing mine is because they cost me $50 each. But this one I can buy 50 for like $60, so almost $1 each. So that I wouldn't mind looking at it. Plug it in and leave it in and throw it away. But they're all good. You know, yeah.
So what would
Yes, you program it as not a clock, you program it to and when you plug it in, the computer says, oh, it's a keyboard, and usually all by default auto-hears the out keyboard. So when your record says keyboard, you have a preloaded script, all that on script. Set it up to power up PowerShell, turn on antivirus, do a remote shell. Yes.
Years. Yeah, I remember running like outside.
For example, you can host a page remotely on our website and have it calls up to the
There were a few different groups we meet upstairs. And yeah, some of the guys were meeting here. I've only been to
Oh yeah. We moved the meeting up here. Pretty central for us. I work across the street. It's easy for me to store all this stuff over there.
It's pretty much it's a USB that you put in your payload and plug it in and mesh it up. But now it looks like a full
No work? Oh, don't worry. There's always something.
It looks like a regular.
Not every.
It's more of a purchase.
Well, hopefully this works
It's an option that came out
after
years
2
later. It's like,
hours.
oh, we have this is what we can do. And they know I can make it possible.
Let me make sure this works.
So it's going to type something out?
Yes. This I actually tested.
Yeah. It happens often. It's like a USB, you try to plug it in, it doesn't work. You flip it, try to plug it in, it doesn't work. You flip it again. It's the first time you try it, and then it works.
Alright, cool.
No idea why.
I know, but now I get a flashlight. Okay, that's supposed to go in there, right?
No, she's going to show us the demo of real
Alright
quick.
guys, so obviously when you're doing crap live, everything's going to break. But
It's a way of computers.
we do have one that does work.
Upside down.
That one she got on Amazon.
Alright, so basically,
But if you buy them from China, you can
what's going to happen here is you are going to have your Example code set up, you're going to run that. It's going to ask you to plug this in when you upload it. You're going to plug it in and it will program your little Digi Stump board. You're going to take that out immediately. Once that's done, you're going to close this down. Open up Notepad for our testing, because basically what we've done is we've asked it to open up Notepad and on that particular one
To show that she's gonna plug it in.
Or Hello World, whatever it was. This one's already been programmed to open up a Notepad window straight from scratch when you plug it in, and then type something in the Notepad. All right. So this, you can also drop down to a shell. You can push something out into a payload. You can run a script that'll download things and do it for you. This is just really quick and simple. Close this guy off. When I stick this into some Windows machine USB.
Upside down.
Alright, so plug it in straight. It's just going to load up Windows Notepad and just type in.
So that's what the Notepad. You can tell it you run on PowerShell and go on. Yeah.
Very cool.
All right, cool.
Yeah, cool way to own something.
Not only that, you can actually make it interactive. Let's say if you're running, if you're trying to run something and it prompts you, like the UAC, like if you want to run as administrator, you can actually prompt it to select yes and continue on running whatever it is.
Is there's an interpreter, right? What is the interpreter?
It's not really an interpreter. It's just following the scripts and whatever rules you set it into the script, they'll run it as a keyboard.
Oh, okay. And that,
yeah,
one.
Oh, just the cable.
What's
Just
the
right?
users running at? Is it an E system? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, users.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. So it's mimicking the keyboard.
Trade me.
Sorry.
Trade me.
I believe you can. The old version basically, I remember you just plug it and you say show back.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
There's a place you can go to get all the
You can do it. To go to a website and find something.
All right, so you want to cut? You want to say?
We done, right?
No, the last thing I was going to mention is what Natalie just said. They have a program. I will also include this as well, but they have a program here that will convert the rubber ducky scripts into your, this is a script converter. So you can look at all the rubber ducky scripts that they have already examples for, and you can convert them to this particular thing that run on the cheap one now, the Arduino.
Cool.
And guys from Pack 5, they actually have this website that they created for the rubber ducky, where you can actually, there's options already. You select what exactly you want to do, and it'll create the payload for you right there on the spot.
Yeah, and then you take that payload, you can run it through the converter. You do have to make a couple tweaks. There was a couple tweaks that we had to make to it to make it run properly on here, but it was pretty easy.
Yeah. The what? I can't remember precisely. If you look up rubber ducky payload creator, and it'll be.
That works just as a keyboard. So.
I have a question. The metal pins, right? I need those.
I'm sorry?
Do I need the little metal pins?
Not for this project, no.
Okay.
But apparently you can use it for other projects.
Very good.
Well, that was
All right.
Very good.
What do we have on our next meeting?
I didn't check yet.
Okay. Well, we'll be announcing soon what our next meeting is. Probably will be in 2 weeks.
Next week is
B-sides.
B-Sides Orlando,
So good luck, enjoy.
and then our following meeting will be. OSINT 101.
Oh, can this now?
It's not. Who is that?
I don't know.
Okay.
It was gonna be hunting.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Guys, looking forward. And Montego, right?
Yeah, with Maltigo.
We're gonna go get a Montego and all this in,
Show it at
101. Huh?
Show it at maybe.
Yeah, sure it is easy.